Kelly and David, they're on the mic, talking about things you gotta like. Holy Trollers is the name. Kelly and David bringing the flame. Lost and wisdom all in store. Podcasts that you can't ignore. Kelly and David, they're on the mic, talking about things you gotta like.
And here we are, young lady. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. We're back for episode 3.
Episode 3. Welcome to
And
Holy
our second
Trollers.
guest. Yes,
Yes.
Holy Trollers.
Yep.
And we have our second guest with us tonight.
Yes, we
So
do.
without further ado, I will introduce our second guest, Miss Erika Robertson. So Erika Robertson, an expert in sales enablement, learning, and development with a career spanning major companies like GE Digital, VMware, SAP, and Cisco. She has built transformative training programs that drive business impact and foster continuous learning. Now, beyond her professional achievements, Erika's personal journey is one of resilience. She lives with Neurofibromatosis Type 2, also known as NF2, which is a rare genetic condition that causes tumors on nerves. Despite multiple surgeries, hearing loss, and other challenges, she embraces joy and considers herself ridiculously lucky. Her children did not inherit NF2, which she sees as one of her greatest gifts. In addition to her career and health journey, Erika is a dedicated advocate serving as a guardian ad litem. I hope I said that right. I never was really good at, languages. Serving as guardian ad litem for children in the court system and a legislative advocate for rare disease initiatives. Today's conversation delves into her leadership insights, her experience navigating life with 2 rare diseases, and her unshakable belief in joy and perseverance. So please welcome to Holy Trollers, Miss Erika Robertson. Hello.
Hello.
I would like to invite you to every meeting or interview I have. So
There
that
you go.
you can write my introduction and do it for me, and then I'll have walk-up music.
Yes, walk-up music. You know what? It's funny that you said that because I was thinking about that, and we should have done that. And also confetti, because I do have some of those little twisty confetti cannons. We should have shot a couple of those off.
All right,
You know.
we're
So-
gonna have to reschedule this so that we can do that.
Get it
So-
together, David. Be ready.
Seriously,
I know.
it's like
I
an
know.
amateur. I don't know.
Yes, clearly.
Yes.
So, Erika, thank you for being here with us this evening. We do appreciate it. We know you have an amazing story to tell. It's quite the journey, from what I understand. But I thought before we delve into that, I could just share with our 2, maybe 3 listeners.
We have like 5 or 6 children between us, right?
Yes, right. That's right. They're all family. They're all our offspring, yeah, who support us in various, well, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, but I guess we should maybe go back 10 years to when we were both in college.
10 years.
I'm thinking
Just
it's
the other day.
just the other day.
Last week.
Yeah.
So I will share my memory. I believe that we met because we both worked in the student union at Towson University. I think at the time it was called Towson State University. But I believe you were my boss at the time. I think if I remember correctly, you were a building manager and I was an event manager.
I was in the highest paying student job on campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we kind of supported student events within the student union. I think also we supported outside groups who actually rented the meeting space in the building there, typically evenings and weekends. So that's how we met. And then There is a story.
Well, actually, we had met before that.
We did?
Because-
Okay.
Yes.
Was it through Greek life?
Well, yes, through Greek life.
Okay,
because
got it.
We were working at the union, like the school year 90, 91.
91.
Like 90, 91.
Okay.
Or 89, 90.
Oh, yes,
But
right. You're right.
In the spring of 89, Kelly.
Shut up. Oh, that's so fantastic.
Holy shit. Wow.
Don't worry, I'll show it again. Because
First of all, how does that...
Because rewind from the union before we had the student union as our student employment. It was through Ward Hall,
right?
And one of the dormitories, Kelly. So we have in the basement of Ward Hall, we have Dave and our friend Boo Boo.
Eric, that's Eric. Oh, it's Eric.
That's Stretch. Do you remember? I don't even know.
Stretch. I do remember Stretch.
I think Stretch is on her birth certificate because I don't think he had a real name. So Stretch is back there, and this is where you're deep in thought in the basement of Ward Hall.
Oh my Lord!
And this is when the decision is made. Dave's not going to study. Those books remain closed. Even though Stretch was trying to set a good example. So that's the spring semester of 89, and through I don't like the word, but it best describes the shenanigans of Ward Hall.
Yes.
And through there, and then that spring, because I was pledging Zeta Tau Alpha.
ZTA.
I had someone, and that I was going to ask, and he ended up being a jerk, and it bothered Dave that
it was Jason.
It was not. Yes, I was not going to name names on this podcast.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember his last name.
Jason.
No.
Yeah, it was Jason. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So you were very empathetic to that, and so he's like, "No, damn it."
Yep.
I'm gonna take Dave instead.
Yes, indeed.
Like, Lynn was always there. So Lynn and kids, if you're watching this, this was a platonic situation.
Right. Yep. I love that.
And then, I'm done my drink, going back to the open bar.
That's a David I know.
And this is when he took so long at the open bar. I'm like, where the hell is he?
Oh my God.
He probably came back with 5 drinks.
I think with the spring formal pictures, we must have been setting a trend to take the picture in the stairwell.
Yes.
That was a beautiful setting, because
Oh my
before you
God.
got there, that's the one picture I have of us together in the stairwell. However, before you picked me up, and notice there's a corsage, so thank you for being such a gentleman.
Absolutely. Yep. My mom taught me that.
I took a heck of a lot of boo-boo. So
Oh,
there are a
wow.
lot.
There is
There
Eric.
are a lot.
There's
So
Eric.
Holy
boo-boo,
cow.
when you watch this, I've got more. So apparently I was having a photo shoot in Ward Hall. So that was a walk down memory lane.
Honestly, unbelievable. First of all, why is my memory so bad that I can't remember simple order of time? And the other thing is how
why, Dave? Because of this.
Because of the bourbon. Yeah, I know. It's very
That's
good.
why. So
But
that was
the
why.
fact
So I had
that
to rewind.
yes,
There was
I'm glad
backstory to our
I'm glad that you
student
did that. The fact that those pictures
So
have been floating
funny.
around for 36 years, how is that even possible? How is that?
I'm glad I have never to this point posted them on Facebook in all these years that we've been connected. That is discipline. However, if you
my God.
He knows I don't have that discipline. I don't have
Yeah.
that discipline.
Oh, yeah.
Well-
Kelly would have those all over the place. Yeah.
I do, and it's
Amazing.
hilarious. Hilarious.
Erika, thank you for that. Oh my God. I had no idea that was coming, but I'm glad you did that. And thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And now a word from our sponsor.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Bourbon.
So I suppose maybe we should get into your story a little bit.
Well, I think we can't leave them hanging with the union connection.
Oh,
I mean,
that's true.
You know,
About
our awesome
about
job
the
at
story.
this,
Yeah.
at the student union.
So right. So there was an event, and again, my memory might be a little bit foggy, and it wasn't because of bourbon back then. It might have been something different. It might have been really cheap beer. I'm not sure. But I think it was like Kappa Alpha or Omega Psi Phi was having some kind of dance in the student union. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of an all hands because they were a huge group and their parties were always, off the chain, if that's even a thing. Yeah, plus open. Yeah, right.
Open to non-students. Yeah.
To non-students. That's right. Yep. So anyway, I happen to be working the door with Miss Erika. Well, she was on duty as building manager that night, but she happened to be there because we had to check IDs. If you didn't have an ID, you couldn't get in. I mean, if you had an ID, great. And if you were 21 or over, we would give you a wristband, which meant you could drink because I think they served alcohol at those events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So there was a gentleman who I don't even think I think we asked him for an ID and he did not have one. Mm-hmm. If I remember right, and you can correct me if I don't remember right.
We didn't get to that point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I think he may have been trying to just sneak by, and I whatever the case was, we weren't going to let him in because he didn't have the required identification, I believe, but he may have tried to slip by Erika, and I think she put a stop to that. And I'm standing right there the whole time. And then he was getting obviously more and more aggravated with her. And so I think he started to turn away, maybe to walk away, and then turn back. He didn't. Okay. Yeah. He may have called you a couple of choice words and then punched you in the stomach.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. But then decided to take off. He
went into the event. He went.
Oh, he did.
Punched me and went.
Oh, right into the event. Okay.
To the dance, which was
right to try to hide, blend in. Yep.
And we were left manning the.
Yes.
Because he was on the stairwell to come up, and he was staring at me the whole time.
Oh yeah.
He knew he was trying to get in there, and then we were left. Dave and I were with the massive security guards because I can't even believe he did it because they were big guys.
They were big guys.
So he ran in to that dance.
And so then how did he run? How did he get out of the facility? Did he jump off the building?
This was years before the O.J. Simpson chase, and I feel like he didn't need a white Bronco. He was just going. So he left us stunned at the top of the stairs. So you and I are there.
Yeah.
One of the security guards, he was a big guy. He was intimidating.
Yeah.
But he punched me in the stomach, ran into the dance, and we were like, what the hell just happened? So of course, we all have the walkie-talkies. Yes. And I think it was the one who was on security, called in whatever alert, and it was like, all hell broke loose after that. It was like, the other security guys ran up, all the security people went into the dance itself to find him. Right. And then he weaved his way through there. So knowing afterwards, we think it was to drop something off to someone in the dance. So he was bound and determined to get into that part of the union. Right. And so he wove his way in and around, went a back stairway, and made his way down through. And meanwhile, people are chasing him, trying to find him. We called university police, and they came in, chasing him down the stairs, through the Union, and then out the door and up through campus,
Right.
through the middle of what was Towson State University,
Right.
before they got him. So the police, the Union security was there, and the police they finally got him.
Yep.
You guys must have been done.
And well, in the meantime,
yeah.
he kind of ditched it. He had a firearm on him, which he had, I think, thrown in the bushes as he was being chased on foot by security or police.
We didn't know that until later. So
yeah, right.
You know, because Dave was not shielding me at all, I was completely vulnerable.
Yeah,
and
my God.
He hit the ground. I know what he did.
I could have been taken out at that point, Kelly. So
right. And
Dave supplied no shield, no protection.
I did. Right. Well,
he did provide moral support.
Yes, I did.
There was
Afterward,
nothing.
right?
There was nothing to stop
Yes.
the bullet.
So
but
yeah, and that's probably why I didn't pursue a career in law enforcement, because
could have been. But so we went to court. The guy, so it was. I went to court and to testify that summer, and
oh my God.
meanwhile, that summer, Dave and Boo Boo made a visit to my house, and we're recounting the story. So, Dave, you can tell this part before we get into like the real point of the podcast.
Right.
This is a story worth telling, isn't it?
It is. So. It definitely is. Yes. Yeah. So we went to dinner at Erika's parents' house.
Yeah.
And I believe both her parents were there. Her brother might have been there. I was there. I think Eric was there with me.
I think so too. I think that was it.
Yeah. So anyway, during dinner, as would happen, we were discussing things. Mm-hmm. And I think this came up, right? About what happened. And I think I was sharing what I remembered. And actually, Erika did a great job recounting it, because obviously I didn't remember it the same way. But anyway, her father looked at me. I don't know if disgust might be a harsh word, but he was definitely disappointed in the fact that I didn't almost like, why did you not protect my daughter? Right. And I think I was trying to say that, oh my God, it happened so quickly that I don't think any of us really knew what was happening until, the guy had taken off into the crowd, I guess. And so, yeah, I just, Fred Flintstone, I just shrank. I felt like such a little person at that point. And when I was sharing this with Erika the other day when we were chatting, I don't remember this, but she reminded me that her father was a police officer at one time. Right?
He used to be. When I was born, he was a DC police officer. So his instinct kicked in. And it was like he's looking at you like, what the hell? I mean, he knew about the incident, of course, because he drove to court that summer to testify. But he was wondering where my bodyguards were. But luckily, they caught him, and it was pretty crazy to think he had a gun and then just tossed it, because the security. And I wish I could remember his name, Dave, who he worked with. There were two. There were two main security.
I want to say one. They were students, correct?
I don't think so.
They were. Were they part of campus
were
police?
These were the real security. Yes. Not like Doug worked there.
Right.
This was even the.
Yes.
There were two. I don't think they were brothers, but it was like they looked similar. Maybe they were brothers. But they were chasing him through campus, and they witnessed him. And thank goodness they did, because somebody else could have found it.
Yeah.
So that elevated the assault charges. So yes, there were assault charges and everything. And I went to court.
I can't remember. Did you leave that job after that incident, or?
I persevered, Dave.
You did. Okay.
She just didn't work with you anymore, because clearly you were useless.
I said you can. I said put Dave down the rat, have him
My
work the
hours
rat
were
skeller.
severely cut. Exactly.
Dave works in the rat skeller or the bowling alley, because the bowling because it always scared me, because my responsibility was to lock up, because I had a ring full of 57 keys. I had to lock up,
Yeah.
and it was scary, especially the bowling alley. The bowling
Yeah.
alley was really dark, and I thought there was somebody hiding behind the bowling alley. So
Yes.
I think, yes,
Yep.
to our boss, Dennis Brilliant. So Dennis,
Yes.
just, put Dave in the bowling alley or the rat, and I'll come back.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Put him somewhere he could cower and hide.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
Had to-
funny, so funny.
My safe place was in the bowling alley restroom. Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh dear.
God.
That's awesome. God. Seems just like yesterday. Oh boy. Well, that being said, should we jump into your story, your journey?
Sure. Let's.
So, I don't know. Why don't you start by just kind of letting us know a little more about NF2,
Yeah.
and then maybe just kind of share with us what your life was like before you noticed any symptoms, or when you first noticed symptoms. Kind of take us through that.
Sure. First of all, I wanted to thank you both for considering my story worth telling, because I love the intention of the podcast. We bookend it with fun, and that it's not all serious, and
That's
that
right.
it doesn't have to be hosted by or guested through celebrities. It's just real people have stories, and
Absolutely.
I think I'm getting more and more used to telling my story, because for so many years I did not. And so really, when you're asking me about what it was like and before, I don't really remember what it was like before, because I was 15 when I started having symptoms, and that was because I could not hear as well talking to my friends on the phone from my left ear. So I would switch it to the right side. And so it took a while, and I think my parents noticed that, like, what's up with that? And then they took me, and through doctor's appointment, just a regular general practitioner, I think give a very basic hearing test, and my hearing had diminished in my left ear. And so that was strange. And so then we went through 1 year of tests, of various tests. Why is she losing her hearing? And it was things like, I do remember being put in a chamber, basically, and them shooting water directly into my ear. And I mean, things like that, like, what's wrong? Until my dad said, stop, this has become academic. You're not learning anything. So I do remember him using that word, academic. And so luckily I got connected to an otolaryngologist. So say that 10 times fast. So basically a really very specialized ENT doctor who said, we want her to go get an MRI. And back then that was a new technology. This is 1986. So I had to go across the Beltway, living outside of Annapolis, went across the Beltway, had a 4 a.m. appointment because they were so rare. It was so hard to get, and it was so new. So at 4 a.m. I had an MRI, and then they realized it's not your ear, it's your brain. So there was a little tumor wrapped around my hearing nerve, and it was slowly squeezing it. So they grew so slowly, I no doubt had it for some time. So that was really how it all started. And they figured that out, and they said, you're going to have brain surgery to remove it. So I was 16 by then. And honestly, I went back to work at People's Department Store in Bowie after my appointment, because I'm like, okay.
Pre-CVS.
So it was, so it was like, okay, I'll go back to work. Even though I wasn't a child, I was 16, you still don't think about the ramifications, really. I wasn't a dramatic teenager. I didn't think, I was like, okay. So I had surgery in August 1986 to remove this tumor, and I had an amazing world-renowned neurosurgeon. It was in George Washington Hospital. His name was Arthur Cobreen, and he had been the neurosurgeon for James Brady, the press secretary
Wow.
that
Yeah.
was shot
Reagan.
in the brain when Reagan was
Right.
his attempted assassination. So Dr. Cobreen operated, and to save this type of tumor was called an acoustic neuroma, and they said normally senior citizens get this tumor, and so they thought it was very strange. I thought this is just a one-off. So he decided, I had lost some of my hearing, but because it can affect so many things, that he decided to go choose this method through the base of my skull behind my ear to save my facial nerve. So it was but basically he cut my, not basically, he cut my hearing nerve. So I lost all of it, all the rest of it, to save my function, my ability to swallow, facial nerve, all sorts of things, sorts of ramifications. So, so that was, I didn't think about the ramifications. I remember my dad, my parents, but my dad's more because I could tell he had been crying. And so when you see your dad had been crying, so the doctors had just told them all the different things that could go wrong, like you do. And he'd come back in, and, you know, so there are things flashes I remember, but then I was out 6 weeks. I had to learn to walk again because it affects your balance nerve. So you have to get that strength back, and my brain, when someone has something like this, like because your vestibular nerve was gone on that side, so your brain makes up for that.
Wow.
And so it was just, getting it back. So I only missed, I think I was only out for 6 weeks. I had tutors from school come in, and I went back to school. And then I remember going to speak to, there was someone in Crofton where I grew up that was also having it. She was a little older than I was, and be in her 20s, who also had the same doctor. And the doctor asked me to talk to her about the surgery. I remember a girl younger than me, she was 13. Her parents asked her to talk to my dad, who was a lawyer, because she had gone to the doctors and they had found a tumor the size, mine was only 1 centimeter, and it caused that issue. Hers was the size of a lemon. And the doctors had originally told her it was because of her period, and played it off. She was just a girl. What did she know? So there were significant issues. They asked my dad about a lawsuit. So things were happening. I remember other people going through this, and then they told me, I healed, I got better, I got used to only hearing out of one ear. I didn't hear in stereo, so I don't remember what it's like to hear in stereo. So unfortunately, I think I lived up to the stereotype of being blonde. Like, someone calls my name, and I'm like, what? Where are you? Where? Because I can't hear you. Over here. Where? Because that doesn't tell me anything. So I went to school. They said, 5-year checkup. So I graduated high school. I went to college, and I left college and had a 5-year checkup, and that was it. And I was kind of sent on my way. And then it wasn't until I had fast forward to it was 2000. It was 2000 because I'd had my son in 98, my daughter in 2000, and it was just something wasn't right. There was my leg reacted. It was it was numb, and it was just, something told me something wasn't right. And I had, and when people talk about that little voice, and to me that little voice was my grandmother, who had passed away when I was in college, and she was standing next to my bed telling me that something was wrong. And so it was my my mom's mom, my grandmother that I was very close to, and she told me that. And so then I started like, okay, that's why I took it a little more seriously. I had an MRI done, and I had it sent to Dr. Cobreen, and he said something's there, something's going on. But a local doctor I had seen first, and she said, you have multiple, because they had scanned this side like completely, that part of my brain, like ear to ear, and there were a couple in there. And I was holding my, at that point, 3-month-old daughter, and my 1.5-year-old, or just turned 2-year-old son was with me. And there's just the three of us at the doctors. And I thought, you're insane. She said, and she told me about something called neurofibromatosis. And I thought she was completely incorrect. That's crazy, because they told me there was just one. And so I sent the MRI results up to Dr. Cobreen. He said, there's something going on. Let's re-image in 1 year. So luckily in that 1 year, we had moved from, at that time we were in South Florida, we moved to Wilmington in North Carolina. And it was time for my recheck. And it was September. It was the week after 9/11, because I remember the chaos, and it was just still, you were just feeling so heavy and mournful. And I got my follow-up MRI here, and I asked for them to be sent to Dr. Cobreen. He called me, and it was September 17th, 2001, and he said, because that was the first time they'd taken an MRI of my entire brain. And so having the entire brain, they thought, okay, that one on your left has grown back. You've at least one, maybe two on your right. And you also have three other brain tumors called meningiomas in other parts of your brain. And he said, one of those meningiomas needs to be removed. I can't believe you haven't had any seizures yet. I'm like, what world am I living in? I've got kids. I've got shit to do. I don't understand this.
I don't have time for this, right? Yeah.
I don't have time for this. So that's September 2001. So November, I went to doctors at Chapel Hill and Duke, and I decided to go with Duke. And Dr. Friedman removed my meningioma, which was... It was large. It's on the back top of my brain. And so that was removed in November 2001. And then I started after that to learn more about what is neurofibromatosis type 2, because I didn't even know there was a type 1. So, this word that I can't pronounce, I've never heard of. And then March, I went up to Hopkins and had the one that regrew. I had that radiated. Because I already had no hearing, so there was no danger of losing hearing, which there normally is. I didn't want to have another brain surgery. And so learning more and more, and I found there was a Neurofibromatosis Foundation, which has since been renamed to the Children's Tumor Foundation. But I started to learn more about it, and it is genetic. 50% of the time, it's inherited, which no one in my family had it. So having that, and then having the radiation, it was still going through the motions. And then, so that's 2001, radiation 2002, and then starting to have recurring that's when I started to get regular MRIs going back, because I started having them here, but I no longer trusted the radiologists here, because they missed the meningiomas that I had. So I started to go to Duke. And then I had a seemingly random cerebrospinal fluid leak in 2007. That's the worst. To that point, the worst pain I'd ever felt. So just these random things. And I'm getting back. I'd gone to grad school from 2002 to 2005. I had started living my life again. And then, knowing I still had these other ones still in my brain, but there was nothing to do about them. So that's what I learned is I had these things, and it was just when am I going to have something done? So we got MRIs, started every 6 months and then extended to 12 months. And I was lucky enough to be able to go 18 months at one time. But then they found something in 2018. So it had been a long time. I'd had the CSF leak and I'd been getting checked, and then I have another one that I more tumors had grown by then, and Dr. Friedman said we need to have this one out, and that was pretty much right here, like the midline, and so that was August 2018 that he told me that, but I put it off. I didn't tell anybody at first because my daughter was starting college. So, I had just moved her to college. My son was a sophomore and my daughter was starting college. And then I decided to have surgery in January 2019, which I did. And that by then I had started to fundraise for the Children's Tumor Foundation, and becoming more active since I found out in 2001 what I had. 2002, was slowly getting more involved, and then was going through and doing the awareness stuff and fundraising, and then and I knew it was a ticking time bomb. It was just a matter of when. So I had my second surgery. So my second was in 2001. My third was in 2019, and just like 2001, the plan was have the surgery on Monday, you're home by Wednesday, because even with brain surgery, they want you out of the hospital quickly, but they wanted me to stay somewhere close. So it was at Duke. So it was, stay at a hotel essentially, because for 1 to 2 nights, just in case. 2001, we just drove home.
Right.
But now it was, all right, stay in the area. So I went in for surgery January 1st. So my New Year's was not too exciting. That leading up to it, I checked in, and then so I remember. So the surgery went fine, but 12 hours after the surgery finished, I had a stroke, and so I remember. So before then, the CSF leak was the most painful, because when I sat up, when you verticalize, the cerebrospinal fluid pushes your brain literally. So it's in our bodies right now. It's traveling around, it's being absorbed, it's behaving itself, and they couldn't figure out why. Mine was pushing down. It was pooling where it wasn't supposed to be, and
like pulling in the top of your head.
It was horrendous. It was pushing your brain down. So when I laid down, it was fine, but when you get up, that's awful. It was god awful. And my aunt had that happen after she gave birth.
Wow.
That's one of the only people I know that had it. And it was horrendous. It was horrible. And that took me a long time to recover from, a long time, because there was nothing. It started to heal on its own. So it was a process.
Like you could take an aspirine and just make it feel better.
Right. It was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
But until then, I do remember waking up after my surgery in 2019. So just a little more than 6 years ago, and the anesthesiologist had not calculated correctly, and I remember screaming. It was horrible. My brother and my then husband was in the ICU, and it was horrible. It was a horrible pain, and I didn't want to see my kids. I didn't want my children, who were at that point 18 and 20.
Right. I
didn't want them to see me like that. It was too upsetting. And it was horrible pain. But then I remember being in my ICU room, and my brother was staying with me, and he was like, there was a curtain separating, and so there was the couch that he was sleeping on. And I remember there was a tingling in the back, in my throat, my tongue, and my tongue started feeling weird. So I knew something was happening. And I remember thinking, because they watch you for seizures, and I said, well, if this is a seizure or a stroke, please let it be something I can recover from. And so I guess at that point, the ICU nurses came in. I remember my brother coming from behind that curtain area and saying, "What the hell's going on?" And that's when they went into action, and just a lot of images like being taken down to the cath lab repeatedly for them to scan and try to figure it out. And then they finally did the thrombolysis, I think it's called, through your femoral artery, do the procedure to stop it. So luckily they discovered I'd had a stroke in my basilar artery, which is, pretty important one.
Right.
70% mortality rate, and it's pretty severe. So if you're going to have a stroke, be in the NICU, or not NICU, the neuro ICU.
Sure, yeah.
Be at Duke when it happens. So
that seems like that would be the number one place to be when you're going to have that happen. I mean, you dodged a bullet. Wow.
If I had been released, I'd been at the even being at the hotel would have probably been too late. It would have been too late.
Did they think that operation, like a clot, happened from having surgery?
No, but I tell you, I ruined my neurosurgeon's record because before me, he never had a post-op patient have a stroke.
Oh my God.
Sorry, buddies. I'm really sorry about that. But it actually did not. It was just like the perfect storm, because I did not realize I'd had a genetic clotting tendency. And because of my radiation 16 years before that could have set things in motion. It was like a perfect storm of things, because my stroke was back here in the basilar artery, but my surgery was up here. So it was, they ruled out it being related. It was just a horrible occurrence, but thank God I was there, or else I would not be here today, because it was through that I was on an intubator for a little bit. I don't think it was that long, but then I couldn't talk when they took me out of it. And so my friend laughs that she knew I was going to be okay because I gave her the finger when she was trying to make me eat my applesauce. I did flip her the bird. She's like, "You're going to be okay." So, that was tough. And I remember images. There's something that happens to you when you're in ICU. Any patient, there's an ICU hallucination, basically, that you go through. It's like you're trying to process, and you're in this room for so long. So I remember those hallucinations I had, things like that. And I remember waking up and I'd see a commercial, or waking up and I'd hear somebody. And so I remember coming back and wanting to just get the hell out of there. And my kids had to go back to college. I was told that while I was intubated, when my daughter came in and when I heard her voice, they said I reacted. So that made them feel very hopeful. So when I was out of it, I remember my son, because I couldn't talk, I remember my son sitting by my bed and touching my arm, because he had to go back to school. So I remember these images and feelings, and then they were trying to figure out why I couldn't talk, and what was weak and what side was strong. And luckily, the things I noticed were not permanent, because I went to rehab. That was January 2nd and 3rd. I was home back in Wilmington by Martin Luther King holiday, because I had gone to a rehab center it was in Durham, associated with Duke. I was close by for a week. So I was in the ICU, and then finally for a week there, and I didn't want to be there anymore. It was just so hard. And that's when I first saw myself. I first showered, and I remember seeing my bruised thigh from where they did the thrombosis, thrombosis, I think. And it was, my entire thigh was bruised, and they took out the staples from my head, and it was just, I
Wow.
I just wanted to go home. I wanted to get the hell
Sure.
out of it. But they had a PT, OT, speech pathology. So I had that every day, and sometimes more than once a day. And I recovered so well. I recovered to a point that I could do outpatient. And so they found
Wow.
a place in Wilmington. So I did at Wilmington and did that. And so luckily I was able to heal here. But still, I just thinking, I knew this was going to happen. It was actually the surgeries were okay. It was just the stroke and the CSF and things these little side things, peripheral things. Like,
Right.
why is this happening? And
Yeah.
I just learned more about it. I had such a good community and strong support system, and the more I learned, the less scared I got. My big concern was that my kids would inherit it, and I didn't know until 2010 whether they did, because there was no genetic test. Because in my first surgery in 1986, they didn't even have a name for this yet. It
Well, that's
wasn't.
what I was going to ask. I mean,
Oh, wow.
They had no idea.
You had a tumor.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
had it. I had this before they even had a name for it. And
Right.
so when somebody gave it a name in 2001, there was not a genetic test for it. So for 9 years until they did, I thought my kids would have to get an annual MRI. I had them come in to the hospital with me in Wilmington when I would get my checkup, my MRI. I wanted them to see it so they wouldn't be scared when it was their turn, that
Sure.
how it worked and going in there. And they were young. They were elementary school. So it was, had their dad walk them in, think this is what it is, mom's okay. And so then when University of Alabama, Birmingham had a genetic test, I took them, we got blood drawn, and they couldn't find the genetic mutation in my blood because I have a type that's called mosaic. So you actually need a tumor sample, not blood. I'm like, oh, well, now you tell me.
Right.
So I had, a friend of mine here in Wilmington, whose then husband was a PA for a neurosurgeon. So she said, what about the growth on your finger? And I remember having this in high school, and I thought it was because I'm left-handed and how you hold the pencil.
Right.
And so
Right.
I went to
Yeah.
my neurosurgeon, recommended a hand surgeon. I got this removed, and it turns out it is one type, a completely different type of tumor called a schwannoma, that he sent half of it to get genetically tested. They found the genetic mutation. Then they could look at my children's blood and say 99% sure they don't have it. And honestly, leading up to 2010, I'm not a religious person, but I pray to God or the universe, or maybe it's the devil I made a bargain with, and I said, you could give me anything you want, give me your best shot, but don't give this to my children. And they didn't have it. So anything that happens to me now, I'm okay with, because it's a lot better than watching your child go through
Absolutely.
it. I'll take that anytime.
Sure. Well, one of the things that you had, I think in some of the information I had read, maybe on a post, or you may have told me directly, where you were saying that in your case, it was actually a spontaneous genetic mutation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus so you didn't necessarily get it from your parents, right?
Right. And I'm all about being spontaneous, but not this way. So
right, but not that
nobody
way.
had it.
Right.
Nobody had heard of it. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the hell are you talking about? So half the time it's a spontaneous genetic mutation.
And do they know any more about how that happens? Are there environmental factors that have anything to do with? Did you eat lead paint or asbestos when you were younger?
It was something when I was still in utero. And,
so it's in vivo when that happens, is what you're saying. Oh, wow.
I was born with it, and it's normally in your adolescence that it surfaces.
Okay.
And that's when it happened. And it's just this genetic mutation prevents tumors from being suppressed. So any
Okay.
nerve on my body can have
Could
these
grow a
types
tumor?
of tumors. So
Okay.
NF type 1 is completely genetically different. I don't even know why it has the same name.
Right.
So type 2, it's the optic tumors, so I can be blind. I had the hearing nerve tumors, the meningiomas, which is otherwise the most common type of tumor that anyone on this planet can get. It's a meningioma. That's like the bread and butter of tumors, as my neurosurgeon says. That's most, but for me, genetically, I was told it could be your hormones. So that's why I was not on birth control. I would never consider HRT, things like that. I want to not piss off my, whatever's going on. So
Yeah.
I can get them anywhere. And so I've had one removed on the finger to test. I had two on my thumb, December 2019. So that same year I could feel them. I have one on, I can feel them. I have one on my toe that's still there randomly. I have still eight brain tumors, but they're behaving. They're living rent free up there. They're not doing anything, and hopefully will not have to do anything. But I had the 2 removed on my thumb, and those hurt like a son of a bitch, just because it was afterwards when they were taking the staples out, because it was by my nerve. So that hurt.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just, I'm lucky I've got only the ones I've got. I've never had any on my spine. I've never had any anywhere else. They could be anywhere. And then I ride my bike. I play tennis, which, my balance, hopefully I never get pulled over, because I could never walk a straight line. So I would get arrested right away. So don't ask me to walk a straight line, because ever since the first tumor, I have a balance issue. But yet I ride my bike and play tennis. So go figure. But I could never be walk that straight line. I would not pass the sobriety test.
Do you play pickleball in your retirement community that you live in? Is that an okay question to ask? I wasn't sure.
I do not in my retirement community. So I played tennis for 10 years, but my brother just got me this last birthday a pickleball racket. And he said,
fun. Nice.
It's very social. You should try it.
Right.
But I am retired because it's the fastest growing sport in this country.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh,
So,
it's incredible.
I
Yeah.
have, since I moved from Wilmington over the bridge to Carolina Beach. And yes, we do drive our golf carts. We are not a community. It's just, we just happened, because we're at the beach. We live at the beach.
Absolutely.
And so I took don't just humor me. So I took 2 lessons. And it's really hard. I'm like still thinking with my tennis brain to try to play pickleball. So it's different rules, and it's,
Right.
but with success, I've not fallen over, no balance issues. So,
Nice.
I've worked on the yoga, you've got to have a strong core. I've got to hold on to things when I walk up the stairs. So, I've gotten used to it, and I just make sure I'm careful and and don't do anything too crazy. So, I guess I'm just used to it, used to linear, and used to having the balance, and I'm just careful about that. And otherwise, so lucky.
Sure. Yeah. I wonder, because obviously, I mean, you've persevered, and you're an incredibly strong person for all that you've been through. And just to get through that, I do wonder sometimes when you sort of have these life events and they kind of turn things upside down. Is it, I mean, obviously, going through all the therapy to try to learn how to get your balance back, or to walk again, or, to get motion feeling back in whatever parts of your body are being affected. But I often wonder too, emotionally, or even just what that does to your work-life balance, your home life balance. Are there things that have suffered on that front as a result?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, that's how lucky I am, because you wouldn't know I have these issues if I hadn't told you. So
Absolutely. Yep.
I have led, I started grad school 2002, a year after my second surgery, and I have that, and I've had a successful, fun, rewarding career
Yep.
in learning and development and enablement for mostly the tech companies. And the work-life balance to me always weighs more heavily on the life, because that's through everything that's how it's affected it, is just knowing, no matter who very few people work for companies that we're not curing cancer. We're not solving these problems. You know what?
Sure.
When I was laying in ICU and I was laying there and they are responding to what they didn't know at first, a stroke, and so many pokes and prods and all that. I remember all that, and none of my thoughts were about work or email or meetings. None of that shit. I didn't think about that, because that's not the legacy I'm leaving. That's not what's important. And while I have integrity in my work, passion in my work, I love my work. The people I've met through my work, so many amazing relationships and rewards that I get, but there's always a balance. And I think it's made me a better leader. It's made me a better teammate, because I lead with empathy. I have, with my friendships, I lead with empathy. I think that I've encountered many people, and a lesson I've learned personally is to not wait so long to kick those people out of your life that don't have that empathy, and they don't respect what I've been through.
Sure.
And I let some stay in my life too long, and they didn't respect or have empathy for what I've been through. And I don't wish this upon anyone, but there are so many people that have been through stuff that you'd never know.
Right.
And everybody has that story worth telling. And it's, as I have learned through my sister, because my sister and I actually share another rare disease. I have another rare disease because, of course, I do.
Because one just isn't enough. I mean, honestly,
I didn't realize it at Towson, Dave, but I'm an overachiever. So one is not good enough, and apparently, if I was going to be known for something that's rare, I would rather it be. This is actually my natural hair. I've never colored my hair. Why isn't that enough for me? That's enough. That's rare enough to never color your hair.
Right.
But no. So even before the NF and the tumors, it was primary lymphedema, which my little sister has. That she started to get those symptoms in high school. And secondary lymphedema is when you get, like, when a breast cancer patient has a lymph node removed.
Okay.
And right here, for example, and her arm has edema, and it swells after that, because when you screw with the lymph nodes. So primary lymphedema, your lymphatic system is compromised.
Okay.
Through genetics, so that lymphatic fluid, which is, part of our immune system, and it's the functioning is just so basic, doesn't flow correctly. So my sister has it as well, and I have it, but mine is so minimal, like you can't even tell. Normally my ankle will swell, and now it doesn't even look swollen. My sister is significant. She wears the compression stockings, and she swims several times a week, and she is altered and leads such a rigorous, structured lifestyle, because she is on top of it, and
She's just take control of it.
Yes, and you really have to, and you would never know looking at my sister, because I told her she's such a little thing. She's just such a little thing. She's shorter than I am. I said, you're so little. And she's amazing. And it's through my sister that I learned the advocacy part, because my sister has been in advocacy for many years because of her lymphedema and working at the Every Life Foundation. And now she happens to work for a nonprofit around rare kidney disease. But it's through my sister that I became an advocate and going to and supporting Rare Disease Week, so that I've met these other patients and their families who have rare diseases, because 1 in 10 people have a rare disease. 30 million Americans have a rare disease. Because did you know that cystic fibrosis is a rare disease?
I did not.
Sickle cell anemia is a rare disease.
Okay.
But I told my sister that her nonprofit needs to talk to those people. How did they raise the awareness level?
Right.
That people have heard of it. They've never heard of neurofibromatosis, which I can barely say. No matter what type I have, you can barely say it.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yep.
I've learned that it's not just, it's bigger than just me. It's more than just me. And even though I have a rare disease and I'm with all of these people that have rare diseases that I've certainly never heard of, and they make NF easy to say versus what these amazing warriors have, because more than 92% of them, of these diseases, have no approved plan. So that's why stopping, halting, pausing science is going to kill people, because they have drug trials that are waiting for approval. They're using off-label, so this medicine isn't prescribed for what you have, but we can use it to at least give you some relief, so they're off-label. And so science should never be halted or paused, because what we do as rare disease advocates, that I learned through my sister because of her strong work, is going to Capitol Hill and meeting with the senators and representatives and doing that locally as well. This is what's on the table. Because having children, if you remember, the heel of their foot gets pricked and they immediately take a test. So it's the newborn screening. That newborn screening can help with so many of these things. And that's how one advocate also from North Carolina found out he had sickle cell because of the newborn screening. And then Congress screws with that. Oh, we're going to hold that up as it's renewed and adding more. So it's, oh no, we're going to make sure we ask parents permission versus just doing it when they're born.
Right.
Well, that held things up because they were arguing, do we ask the parents permission? So there are so many things that benefit not just we 30 million, but those like Quinn with his cancer treatment, they help so many other diseases and happenings that, advocating that and being comfortable. That's when I started being more comfortable telling my story, is because we'd meet with most of the time it's the staffers, because they're not always available, but telling the senators or their staffers, or here's my story, and making it real for them.
Yep.
So they realize this House bill, this Senate bill, this is what this means. This is what it affects. That if you hold this up, it's going to stop this, or this payment. And there are so many that are there, and they have a rare disease caucus that the Congress, we urge them to even join that. So, meeting with North Carolina senators and representatives, join the caucus. That's easy to do. Just join it, be part of it, raise the awareness. And hey, when this comes across your desk, and the staffers are amazing, because there are staffers that are dedicated to the health area. So they learn, they do their homework, and I'm going to talk to the senator about this. I'm going to talk to the representative about this. And it's learning advocacy, which is personally something that I really believe in, is self-advocacy, because when you don't have anyone as a rare disease patient, you have to advocate for yourself. And I've tried to model that for my children and encourage my children to do that, which is hard with their generation, because a lot of them are like, oh, talk to human. Nope, I'll text them.
Let me just Google that.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, right.
Google it. I'll figure
It's just
it out.
fascinating. I'm like, no, talk to them. No, you have to do this. And So learning to advocate for yourself
Yeah.
is probably one of the most important skills you can have. So being around, and I'm so inspired by these other people that I've met, and talking to the parents, and they've lost a child to their rare disease,
Yeah,
and so they're
that's awful.
advocating for their children that
Right.
may or may not even be
Still
alive
here.
Right.
to tell their story. So their parents are there. It's amazing.
Yep.
So that gives me the inspiration, and whatever I'm going through, and whatever, because I was laid off this past year. You know what? Give me the best, whatever. Throw
Yeah.
me the
Right.
best you got.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
You've got a little.
that's what I bargained for when I made my deal with the devil. Give me all
Right.
your shit.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Right.
I can take it.
Well, now you've got a little more
You'll
time for
not break.
advocacy and awareness, so you can. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the
I mean,
nice
it,
thing is
I have
you've
that
built
time.
yourself a community as well. I mean, you're meeting other people that are going through
Yeah,
it, so
and
you don't feel so alone.
And
Yeah.
that's really helped. It's really helped, because
Yeah.
even during COVID, we did these meetings on Zoom, and we tell our stories. We had our plan. These many people. This, you talk about this House bill. You talk about this. You asked this senator to join the caucus, and it inspires me, and I feel that invigorated after each time, and I
Yeah.
love to do that. And so that's really helped, and to learn more about what's going on, because you can't just do it by yourself. And we don't have, separately, each rare disease is just in their own little bubble, but then you
Right.
join everybody else, and it's okay. I'm not scared. I don't have chemo that finishes and I ring the bell like other people.
Right.
I will never have that bell to ring.
right.
Right.
And that's okay. I've learned, and Dave, you asked about that line of this could happen, and then
Right.
like how do you live? And
Yeah. How do you live in the moment versus planning for what the future may hold? Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, right? We don't know, but I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you tell this amazing story, and I mean, I don't think I've said very much, which I mean,
talk
no,
too
and
much.
no, and I mean, this is what you do, and I mean, this is actually part of the awareness thing. I think it's getting that story out there. It's an amazing story. So I mean, for those of us who don't know, and I mean, obviously, through you, I'm just learning about this. I mean, what are some things that we can do to help? I mean, is there an organization if we wanted to donate to? I mean, how do we get this information to, if there's people out there that are hearing this and they go, you know what, wow, that's incredible. I'd like to help in some small way.
I think first is that I've learned, because I only have one good ear, I've learned the difference between hearing and listening. And that what you two are doing, and like your talk with Brittany last week, and having these stories told, is are you really listening to a podcast? Are you really listening to someone's story? And when you learn someone has something that you can pronounce, don't pretend they don't have it, and don't not ask about it.
Right.
Ask and listen to their story, because
Right.
that story is amazing. And sometimes all it takes for that one person is to be able to tell someone that story. And so telling these stories, and like you've done, when you've looked it up, you've researched it, you hit the button to learn how to pronounce it. That's showing respect, and that's the difference between hearing somebody and listening to somebody, and that's what we want,
Yeah. Well, occasionally I hit that button a lot. I mean, for lack of a better word, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So sometimes that helps me get through it.
I think social media helps, because when I first was diagnosed, we had the email. We weren't doing stuff. I looked up online, but we didn't have the apps we have now with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and
I
you know,
actually
we
looked
can
up TikTok just to get, some kind of stories, and there's lots of people on there
yeah.
that are
So
telling their stories.
and
Yeah.
we're not afraid anymore to
Right.
say and advocating. And then there's this great signature fundraiser, Cupid's Undie Run, which
Oh
David so
yeah.
kindly donated to. But
Yep.
it just, this fun fundraiser. So put your money towards this. You're not sure how to talk to somebody, donate when they do a fundraiser and ask, like, what,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this. Can you tell me more about it? And
Right.
listen to what they're telling you, because you you both know, besides me, you both know someone else that has a rare disease. If it's 1 in 10,
Sure.
there's somebody you're working with, there's a
Sure.
neighbor on your street,
Yep.
Right.
somebody's family member. There are so many people that we don't realize in our lives that have a rare disease. And just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not worth learning about
Right.
and
Right.
supporting, because when you support these kinds of things, whether it's the NF2 or the primary lymphedema, that my sister has made substantial steps in legislation, even to have coverage for the compression stockings that insurance wouldn't cover, but those are incredibly expensive. Now it's fashionable to go get your compression socks, and I have ones with French fries and burgers and avocados and pineapples, but I'm not going to wear those upside down. So
Upside down. Right.
yeah, I have those. I have those fun socks. But,
She has those for the retirement community that she belongs
yes,
to.
she'll share those when I drive
All
around
right.
the golf cart. In the
So this
villages.
is a
But,
dangerous admission, but I sometimes when I ride the Peloton, I do wear. I have some compression socks.
But see, compression socks are safe when you fly.
Yeah.
Yes, when you fly.
When you're
That's right.
driving,
Yep.
when you're still for a long amount of
Yep, for a
time,
long time.
Right.
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why when someone's in the hospital and they put on the socks that they plug in and they're squeezing their legs so gently
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
letting go, that's what they're doing. They're keeping
Yep.
the circulation going and the
Circulation.
compression. So
Yep.
even things like that, um, it's important. But the compression stockings that my sister had, they're medical grade, they're ridiculously expensive, and insurance wasn't covering that. So, just legislation like that, just things that the average person doesn't think about.
Right.
And my brother's lucky, he has none. He does zero rare diseases. So I don't think I have made him feel guilty about that at all. But
Yeah.
he was my medical power of attorney. He knows this is what's going on. This is what we have to advocate for. And I have literally, for my son and daughter, and for my brother's daughters, I have created a spreadsheet with this. This is who has what and the history from
Wow.
my
Very
grandmothers,
smart.
my grandparents, my father. He passed 2 years ago. You have to tell your children and do as
Right.
much research as you can in your own families, because you
Yes.
never know. Just like, oh, well, they had this, so write that down. Because when
Right.
my daughter went to her doctor, she found in Atlanta, and she starts to tell her about my issue, and the doctor says, "Oh my," and my daughter says, "Yes, that's why I have a spreadsheet."
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Here's stuff. So, document things in your own families. Just
Yeah.
here's the medical history, because when something happens, somebody's in the hospital, and you have to know, what were they taking? What did they have? Even when they were little, it sounds minor, but they had this tendency and they had this. Is document it, keep that somewhere.
Yeah.
Because even if it's my children's children need some reference, you just have to be educated and not be scared. Because I did the knockbox thing. Yes, because I unfortunately am influenced by Instagram commercials. But I did my will before my 2019 surgery, but I'm updating it, and I'm making sure. I think it freaked out my daughter. I told her I want to donate my body to science. I have 2 rare diseases. Somebody can learn something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm going to talk to Duke about that. I don't know if I can
Yeah.
still be an organ
Oh
donor,
no,
but
you can.
if
Oh,
somebody
well, I don't
can
know about that.
learn, if somebody can learn
Yeah.
something, I have 2. So
Yeah.
what is going
Yeah.
on? They
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
they can learn from that. My it could be creepy. There's med students carving me up at some
No, it's
point. I've
fabulous.
watched Grey's Anatomy and other things I probably shouldn't
No.
have, but that's what I'm picturing. But
My
I
mom
just
did
think,
that. It was awesome, and they
yeah.
send you a thing of all the tests they do. Anything kind
Oh,
of.
what?
It's
I did
really
not,
fabulous.
did not
My
know that. I
dad's
think I've
going to
heard of
do
you.
that. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are
Interesting.
going to be doing that. It's
Then
wonderful. It's
we
a
will. We
wonderful
will. I'll
program.
follow up with you then because I want to find
Yeah.
out more. But that's what I want to do. Is just
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it anymore. I've got a
Right.
community, and my friends here support me. They dress in their undies and do the fundraiser, and you know what? If I sound like Jimmy Buffett, but if I didn't laugh, I would go insane.
Well,
And
yeah.
Yep.
I laugh about it, and I I appreciate and I'm grateful every day, and not I would not be saying that if I hadn't gone through all this
Right.
every day.
Sure. Yeah.
I live in the most beautiful house. I drive my dream vehicle. I live in a dream location that people come to vacation.
Right.
That's my life, and I'm so lucky. And I have people in my life, and I keep people in my life that respect that and are not scared of it, and they support me, and
Right.
Yep.
bring me meals after the hospital and drive me to rehab. I mean, that's what they've done, and
Yeah.
my kids learn about it. So it's just there's so much upside that I've experienced. I'm so
Erica,
lucky.
I have two important questions.
Yes.
Number one, the undie run.
Yeah. What is this?
Is there an OnlyFans component to that? Because
Should I start one? Maybe I should.
mean,
I
you
mean,
could-
we raise a lot of
exactly.
of freaking money. I've been
a lot of money.
missing
Yep.
that component.
Yep.
I'm
You're
not
welcome.
focused on the
You're
corporate
welcome.
bashing. I should be focusing on the OnlyFans.
Yes. So then the second question, so yeah, let that one simmer a little bit. The second question is, I want to know what vehicle you're driving right now that is your dream car.
Yeah.
I am driving a Ford Bronco Sport,
Oh, those are awesome.
and I
love
absolutely love it. And
Is
I'm doing
it the top comes off, right?
no,
It's a-
not in the Sport.
Okay.
The big one that was too big.
Oh,
That was a
yes.
big boy version. Like,
That- yeah,
I will probably need
that's a big
ladder to
off-road.
get up there. I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
I probably need a ladder to get up there. But that was like too much vehicle for me.
Right.
So
Right.
the Bronco Sport, which I absolutely adore, and my cousin's going with me to Moab in March, and we do this
That's fantastic.
or May actually. Bronco owners can do this Bronco off rodeo
Awesome.
and a whole day in Moab, and I'm
Nice.
learning all the modes, the goat
Oh,
modes,
yeah.
go over all terrain. So
Right.
I'm driving over like freaking boulders. I've taken it to the beach here because
Right.
we've camped at the beach, and I've done the sand mode. I use slippery when it snowed last week. But I can do things. It's just that my dream. I have my son and daughter are amazing, and they don't have this to look forward to. So I'm so lucky.
But even though they don't have this, and I'm hopefully never anything, but you've taught them so much about resilience and, keep on putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, that's an amazing gift.
I
Yeah.
hope so. And
Oh my God. Yeah.
if they don't realize it now, maybe they'll realize when something happens in their lives in the future
Yeah.
that it's okay to cry. It's okay to think, what is happening? But you get through it.
Right.
You don't. I can say honestly, I've never said why me. I've never said that. I've said why me as far as my layoff, but I haven't said why me as far as 2 rare diseases. I know that sounds weird, but
Can I ask with them? I mean, was I would imagine, I know my children's father passed away, and they have this fear of me passing away now. I'm just wondering how your kids seem to cope with those kinds of emotions.
That's interesting. Good question. I don't know that I just had my annual MRI at Duke on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I did tell my son, why aren't you like celebrating like, it's like a big
Right.
freaking deal.
Right.
Hard day. I think because I don't walk around anxious. They're not anxious. You model. I
Right.
don't pretend. I tell them that I'm worried or today I'm not having a great day. I've
Right.
got this coming up. I'm looking for a job. I'm stressed about this. I'm real. I'm not. I
Right.
don't pretend nothing's wrong. I don't. And I think they know I will deal with it
Right.
when they know, because get shit done is my mantra, along with keep my sister got me this bracelet, keep fucking going. So
I
Yes,
she
love
got
I
me
it.
love
that
that. I
before my
love it.
2019. She happens to give me a lot of gifts that have the word fuck it in, like this little purse
Can I
and
give you
this
my
little
address?
bag.
She can send those to me as
So
well.
she must do a search. Sister plus gift plus fuck plus see. You just keep fucking going, and you can cry, and
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay to. I think that's being authentic
It's,
about it is really
yeah.
important. And I don't pretend it's stiff up our lip, because if you think about our parents' generation, it was all,
Yeah.
let's be stoic and let's not. No,
Right.
I don't do that. It fucking sucks sometimes. And I've cried on the phone with my kids and FaceTime or in person.
Right.
And it's okay, but we figure it out. And I joke with my kids because their fifth grade teacher has this phrase, just problem solve it. So even now, it was their fifth grade teacher. They're 24 and 26. My daughter just used that 2 weeks ago. It was like, no, we have a problem. And my neurosurgeon happened to say Tuesday, he said, every problem can be solved. And you know what? When you think about it, they really can. And
Yeah.
it was just, he said, every problem can be solved. And that's how I've approached it is, okay, I'm going to cry. I don't freak out. It's like, all right, now what? And I hope
Right.
that I don't think my kids freak out. They've seen me like that. My kids didn't want to see me intubated. They weren't sitting with me the whole time. Even in 2001, I asked Dr. Friedman when the surgery was back here. He was amazing. He my scar was not visible. I didn't want to scare my kids. They were only
Right.
1 and 3. So I didn't want them to be scared.
Right.
So, now I'm like, who gives it, they saw
Yeah.
me 18 and 20, they saw me and they've seen me. I'm vulnerable. It's okay. So I don't think they're scared like that.
Right.
I have a great relationship with both my kids. I talk openly about it. And they're just glad they
Well,
don't have it.
it sounds
So,
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
like
Right.
you
I
do
don't have
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
my daughter's like, I don't have, thank God I don't have that. I don't want that, It's like,
it sounds like
no.
humor is a big part of
You
thing.
got to have
Yeah.
humor about it.
Yeah.
And,
That is the best
just
medicine.
like
It really is. I mean,
when my friends are trying to feed me applesauce in
right.
the ICU,
And
and
you're
I feed
flipping
it
them
from the
off.
bird,
Right. Yeah.
That's when my friend Nicole said, "Yep, she's going to be okay." It's
Yeah.
just, I like what Brittany said when you talk to her, and like, if you're strong enough to make it through, there is beauty on the other side, and that
There
is
is.
so true. That's
Yeah.
so true. And I have survived every day. There's nothing that I've gone through that I haven't survived. And
Oh, I like
I,
that.
Yeah.
it's there's a quote, and it might be even part of a Bible verse, that God gives you what you can handle. And I have said out loud, stop it. I can fucking handle this. Doesn't mean you can
Right.
keep giving me
Yeah. Yeah.
shit.
Right.
Stop
Yes.
testing
Right.
me.
Stop. Like,
I passed.
okay,
Leave me alone.
how do I
Yeah.
act like I can't handle it? So I stop getting this. So just stop. But, I believe everything happens for a reason. And just recently I've realized to stop assuming or anticipating the reason. I don't always know the reason until that relationship is over, until that surgery is finished.
Right.
I don't know. So I can't be arrogant enough to think I know the reason ahead of time, but know that I still try to hold on to everything is happening for a reason. And this, you meet this person, or you have this experience, or you have this job, or you go to this random meeting and you meet somebody. It's just, my story is definitely interesting in a new relationship. It's just, oh, hey, by the way, I've got,
Yeah.
by the
It would make
way,
dating life a little fun.
Yeah,
right?
does I mean,
that makes it fun. So I don't, but I don't tell. It's not like, it's not. My Facebook profile is not public. My Instagram is not public. I don't. Yes, when I'm a rare disease advocate, I put it out there, and hoping a job I apply for. I don't even answer. I don't trust enough to say I have a disability. The disability question you get, I said, I know I don't answer. I don't trust employers. I don't trust the government. I don't trust what is happening to that information. I know they say it's anonymous. No, because it's nobody's business. I want to tell my story when I'm ready to tell my story to you. So I don't want it, I don't like that kind of stuff, but it's just, but in terms of advocacy, and I'm okay. I want my story to be told from an advocate point of view, just so people know not to be scared, not to be nervous, and you don't, when something happens. And my friends have gone through some traumatic experiences not related to rare diseases, and they've survived every day. And you don't pretend. It's so hurtful when you pretend something didn't happen to someone. Whether it's a disease or someone passes, or you just you don't not acknowledge it. So just acknowledge it, ask someone their story, and if people are so inclined, you learn more, you help them advocate when you can, you create your OnlyFans account and raise money for whatever cause it is, but get out there and do something. So it's just be present in what you have now, be focused on it, and just you live your life. And yes, I use an excuse. I've got adventures planned for 2025. At the same time, I'm updating my will and my and all my paperwork. So yes, it's a fine balance. But just because I'm
living in the moment versus being prepared, right, for anything.
I think it's
you
not
can do
either
both.
or. I think you can do both.
You've actually obviously done well at that. So there's
very
a lesson in there somewhere for all of us, right?
I try. And all else fails, I have the bourbon. So.
Yes, you do. You do have the bourbon.
I try.
Here's to health.
Slancha.
I'm not allowed to toast with iced tea, right? I don't think so.
You absolutely
all my good ice has melted.
Where are you?
Yes, so where's Stacy with your
he's still hiding in your garage.
So I hope I haven't rambled.
No, you have not. And honestly, it's funny because I in my own small mind, I had designs on how this would play out. First of all, the whole picture bit in the beginning was totally unexpected, and I love you for that. My God, that was phenomenal. And second, at one point, I'm like, I should be asking more questions, but it's like, where do you find the right time to sort of interrupt you and ask? But I'm glad that we were just able to listen, because
me too.
It's an amazing story, and you're amazing. And
thank you.
No, so thank you for doing this. I think we should just have you back on for future episodes, unrelated to this, because you're funny as hell. And I think you add you just an unmatched energy to this. So,
well, and I think Kelly will appreciate this because she's known you, but it's just having someone with shared memories is so important. And I think that when you go through something traumatic in your life, whatever it may be, having people that are in your life now are great, but having someone that's been with you in a previous iteration of you and a shared memory, because together, you and I would figured out the timeline of our knowing each other and what happened. But you know, you need somebody like together. You have complete memory. So between
Yes.
yourself and
Yeah.
Kelly, it's like you
Yeah.
figure out, okay, this happened.
That's
or
true.
my brother,
Yeah.
sister, and I.
Yeah.
Could be 3 different versions,
Yeah.
but
Which is
together, like,
perception. It's your perception of that
right.
memory.
It's just
Yeah.
fascinating, and I think that helps you
Yeah.
get through anything when something happens to you. People that have those shared memories with you and living your life, and you know what you've experienced with Stacey and Lynn. It's like you sharing this life together and have a witness to that, and
Yep.
you know, because I believe it's like I consider my son and daughter. They're my soulmates. It's not.
Right.
My brother and sister are my soulmates. It's not one person. It's
Right.
Right.
there's pieces of your that share those pieces, and my friends, and you know, I don't a couple high school friends. I didn't really like high school, so college friends, a lot of college friends, like Anne. You know, like
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still so close to, and just you know, I'm just so lucky. I have so many college friends that
That's nice.
I still keep in touch with. Some, you know, one sorority sister used to live here. Now she's in Charleston, or, you know, I see people. So I think that's really important. It helps you get through something is knowing that you have the history with these people is really special. And I'm glad that we could still share that history,
Oh, yeah.
Dave. Does anyone even call you Dave? Because it's like David. I'm like, who is
some-
that?
I've never called him
Who is
Dave.
David?
I've never
David.
called him Dave in
David.
my life.
Because in
Never
my
once have I called him Dave.
in my college journal, you're
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah. No,
Really?
it's funny. No, some people still do call me Dave. Yes.
Really?
So yeah.
Yes, you never be
weird.
David. That's just too,
Yeah, no,
that
he
sounds
just-
too formal for me. Like
Yeah.
Eric,
It is
never
a little
Eric.
formal.
Eric is always Boo Boo.
Boo Boo.
David said Eric. I'm like, you mean Boo Boo?
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's so funny. Well, Erika, thank you again for coming
Yeah,
on and
thank
telling your
you.
story. You know, one of the things that we thought would be fun to do is to kind of bookend some fun stuff on this podcast. And we've never done that before. So this is probably the first opportunity to do that. And so we had your amazing story in the beginning with those pictures, which I don't think that can be outdone. I don't think
It'll be
my
hard.
idea.
It'll be hard. It'll be
But,
hard. You mean this one?
Yes, I love that. That does it. Wait, are you sure that's me?
It was
In that picture?
Well, I mean,
I want to see it.
your eyes are closed. For gosh sakes!
No, that's
Come on,
you for
Dave.
sure.
Is it?
Come
Okay,
on.
all right.
That
So
is
Yeah.
definitely you.
I got your eyes wide open in this one.
Oh, yeah,
that's
right.
definitely you.
Right.
But yeah, you're really pensive. But you know,
Oh my God.
your
tell
eyes
you-
and your mouth are wet.
Oh, that one
Yeah.
is definitely me. Yeah.
I have a digital frame at work, and I have old pictures on there. And every once in a while, I'll look over, and there's you and Lynn from 1985.
Oh, when you're babies,
Yeah,
you're just
I love that.
babies.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And then
Yep.
I have pictures of them with my baby that's 36 now, when he was a baby.
Oh
and
my
I
God,
love
that's
that.
right. Sean,
Yeah.
right? He's there.
The
I
next
can't believe
time
it. That's
you
amazing.
guys have an event, both of you, please take your picture in a stairwell, because I think that adds to the beauty of the
Starting
moment.
the trend. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that.
Is that it's in a stairwell.
Yeah.
No, like by the water or the river, a beautiful
Yeah.
azalea behind you, in a windowless stairwell.
Yep.
Got it.
We can do that. We can do that. So, well, should we, Erika, do you want to try this AI theater bit?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, let's
That
try
we've talked
it.
about?
If any listener or watcher wants to drop us by now,
Yes.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
This is
Yes,
probably
yes,
a
yes,
good
yes,
start.
right. Yeah.
Thank you for
So,
watching, or
Yeah.
you know what, you want to stay for some funny stuff.
so,
I'm
yeah, the
looking at
funny
the-
bit.
I'm looking at
the
the
f-
script right now.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
funny
I
bit
know, I
is
know.
the idea with AI theater is that we give ChatGPT a prompt, a prompt, and then it generates a script that we then table read, and the idea is that it's supposed to be funny. But really, it's like spinning a roulette wheel, right? We don't know where it's going to land. It just happens to show up, and then we will kind of work our way through it. So
All
I don't
right.
know. I don't know who wants to be Margot and who maybe wants to be Linda. I know.
Evidently,
I'm
my shirt's lower, so I'm Margot.
I nominated Kelly for Margot because
Margot.
it's
All right.
sultry and she
Yeah.
We
has
should
the
make
little,
David Margot, but no,
Well,
I'll be Margot.
we could do that. I think.
Are you sultry, Dave?
Okay.
So let's see. We can try this. I have a little. I've come
Intro.
prepared.
Because
I went down.
Margot is
down.
sultry.
I'm supposed to
So-
have velvetly voice. I am not
Yes.
a velvetly, but it's okay. We can do it. I'll
All
try.
right, we will give it a shot. So I went down the AI content generation machine. So I do have a little bit of an intro. So I will play the intro.
All right.
We will come out of the intro into us as our characters
I'm Margot.
for this bit. And this is
Well, Margot
okay.
is an
Yep.
NPR-style host, smooth and sultry voice, loves a
Yes.
good double entendre. Linda,
Yes.
so I'm Linda, is a co-host,
Yeah.
slightly more prim, because that's a word people use with me, prim.
Yeah. Right.
Linda enjoys a game of wordplay. And then, Dave, you're Gordon.
Right. I'm Gordon.
You're the guest, and you're a
Yes.
chef with a passion for food and a knack for accidental innuendo. That is so
Wow.
you.
Accidental.
That is so you.
All right. All right. So let me
Okay.
just let me get this set up here. It may just take me a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I set this up. Let's see.
We're reading. We're getting our lines here.
Okay. Yep. You do that, and I will.
Does slutty work or does it velvetly? Can it be just like slutty sounding? Is that okay?
I think that's absolutely fine.
You can
Whatever.
interpret that in whatever way
Because
you
I
want
am
to.
not a
Kelly.
smooth talker, you know. I'm loud, and I got today. Somebody called at my work and said, "Are you a Yankee?" I was like, "How do you what?"
Oh my
Oh,
God.
She
no.
said, "I said, why did you say that?" She's like, "Because you're talking a mile a minute." I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
North Carolina people talk a little slower.
That's very true.
All right. Well, so let's stand by for a feast for the ears. All right. Oh God, how is this going to work? Here we go. Let's give it a shot.
Welcome to A Feast for the Ears, your guides through this delicious journey, the ever-sultry Margot and the ever-curious Linda. So pour yourself something smooth and get ready to indulge. This is A Feast for the Ears.
Good evening, and welcome to A Feast of the Ears, where we explore art, science, and sensuality of cuisine. I'm Margot.
And I'm Linda. Tonight we have a very special guest, a man who knows his way around the kitchen, and dare I say, a well-oiled pan.
Gordon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, there's nothing I love more than talking about food, except, well, maybe eating it.
Well, yes, we would love to hear you. We hear you have some special techniques you'd like to share with us tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cooking is all about passion, patience, and knowing exactly when to turn up the heat.
Ooh, we love a slow simmer.
Gordon, I understand you have a family tradition that's been passed down generation to generation.
Yeah, a family tradition, yes. My grandmother's secret sauce. It's rich, it's thick, and it coats everything it touches.
A well-coated dish can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, let's talk about meat. The cuts, the seasoning, the proper handling. Gordon, what's your preference?
You know, it's all about tenderness. You know, you have to massage the flavors in just right. Give it time to rest before you...
Slice into it.
Exactly. You want the juices to run just enough.
Before before we get too lost in the moment, let's pivot to dessert. Gordon, I hear you have a special technique for getting the perfect rise in your souffle.
Oh yeah, I do. It's all about control. You have to be gentle but firm. Too much force and it deflates. Too little and, well, it just never gets there.
So steady hands and the right rhythm.
Exactly. And a little patience goes a long way. You know, rushing can leave you with a bit of a mess on your hands.
So, Gordon, what's one dish you think everyone should master in the kitchen?
You know, I'd say hands down a well-balanced pasta dish. Something silky, a little nutty, with a depth of flavor that lingers.
Ah, yes, the beauty of a perfectly tossed noodle.
And knowing when to stop stirring. Overworking it can lead to disappointment.
You know, you two certainly have a way with words.
It's all in the delivery. It's the timing of the words.
Much like a well-prepared dish.
But let's not forget one of the most essential aspects of cooking. Liberation. Gordon, what's your take on oils?
You know, a good extra virgin olive oil can do wonders. You know, it keeps everything slick and it prevents sticking. And you know, it adds a luscious mouthfeel.
Ah, yes. There's nothing worse than something getting stuck when you're trying to work your magic in the kitchen.
Indeed. And temperature control is crucial, isn't it? Too hot and things burn. Too cold
and nothing gets going. You know, you have to find that sweet spot where everything melts together beautifully.
And sometimes a little splash of something unexpected can elevate the experience, like a drizzle of honey on sharp cheese. I recommend Parmesan, though. Parmesan.
Shaved Parmesan, yes.
Contrasting flavors playing off each other. It's all about the balance.
Yes. Balance. Sorry, I got caught up in that moment. Yes, much like a good meal or a good conversation.
And what about Gordon, hands-on techniques? Do you find kneading the dough is particularly therapeutic?
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's something so satisfying about working the dough and feeling it become supple under your hands. It's all about the right amount of pressure.
And knowing when to stop so it doesn't get overworked.
Exactly. Too much handling and it loses that delicate elasticity. You know, you want it just right. Pliable, responsive, inviting. Yes.
Oh, Gordon, you just make everything sound so enticing.
Before we wrap up, Gordon, one final question. What's your favorite guilty pleasure in the kitchen?
You know, definitely something indulgent. I'm thinking a rich molten chocolate cake, you know, crisp on the outside, hot, gooey in the center, just waiting to be devoured.
Oh, I do love a good eruption of flavor.
On that note, we will wrap things up here. Gordon, thank you for joining us.
Ladies, the pleasure was all mine.
Join us next time.
That was wonderful.
I'm just thinking if my husband is actually in the living room, he's going to be like, what the fuck is
What the
happening?
hell is going on there?
So
This is a different podcast.
we actually did create the OnlyFans account.
That's it.
We
There
did.
you go.
We did.
I don't
Yes.
know. David it was the sexiest out of all of us. I mean,
I feel a little
This is
sweaty.
acting.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
this
feel a
is
little sweaty.
this
I
is
feel a little
warm.
naughty.
Dave.
Erica, I loved your accent. I was
it's
not
so
ready for
perfect.
that. I was
Me
like,
neither.
fuck, how does she come up with this shit?
Well, because it described Linda as prim, and prim
That was
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
book. But,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, it was funny because I was like, how do I not sound creepy? Like, how do I?
You sometimes totally did. But
I did.
Oh,
I
you
know,
totally
especially
did,
when
but
I
it's
whispered.
okay.
So no, and I was, and I forget the comedian's name, but when I find out his name, I will text you a link, both of you the link. He's a stand-up comedian, but he does this character stuff on TikTok where he is trying to woo. I'm assuming it's the same woman, but he talks. He has kind of whispers, and it's not like ASMR. It's almost like that, but
Right.
whenever he smacks his lips, or you hear it in the microphone, and he's just and it freaks me out, but it's very funny. So anyway, I was trying to channel him. I don't know that I was successful, but maybe the creepiness factor came in.
Is Lynn still awake? I just want to know if she is hearing
Well,
you.
okay. First of all,
It's 11.
my schedule
It's
is
10.
totally
Never
fucked
mind.
up right now. No, it's funny because so Erica, the whole thing about about the night guard thing is that it might have been last weekend, and I was texting with Kelly, and then we ended up talking on the phone, and I think she was asking me what I was doing, and I said it's 8:00. I just finished brushing my night guard, and I'm settling in for the night. And she's like, "What?" She started laughing, and she's like, "Fucking night guard." She's like, "How are you going to get any with that thing in?" And I said, "The great thing is Lynn has one as well."
So now I just imagine him on post
Yeah.
with like with robes on,
hysterical.
with like a
Yeah.
barrier in between them.
But we both kind of have that early schedule. So like this is late for me. I'm usually in bed by this time, even on a Friday night, which is, it's kind of sad, but anyway, yeah, no, she's definitely asleep. So, but, well, Erica, thank you again for doing this.
Thank you so much.
I mean-
and for doing that.
Yes. And for doing that. Oh my God.
yeah, that being the first time we actually saw the words, Kelly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
We read them.
I saw eruption. I was like, how am I?
You know
was
what's funny is one of these days, Erica, we will have you back and we will do that dirty password or crass word game, because to me, I would love to do that, or even the naughty word spelling bee, because there's
But see,
something.
no, we need somebody that doesn't know, because one of the three of us would have to know the word, and it'd be no
Right.
fun day for you to know or Kelly
Yes.
to know ahead of time.
Right.
But
Yes,
if
yeah, yeah.
somebody that is not going to try to spell it, that
Right.
just says the word or tries to say the word,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
will be even more. For some of the words, though, I think trying to give a definition would be just as.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, could you use that in a sentence, please? Yeah, right.
Because
So
there was, I think it was something on Instagram. Oh, which I sent. You guys need to be on Instagram.
I am.
Holy Trollers needs to be on there.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, I know. We had to put that on.
Or
And we're gonna be
TikTok, like
getting
you
on-
mentioned TikTok,
We are.
Kelly, but
We
things
are.
like that. But obviously, not this long, or this has been your longest one so far.
it has. You're right. An hour and 48 minutes. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll tell you something crazy. Our first two were like an hour and 21 minutes plus seconds. We didn't
Yeah.
time it that way.
That.
But it was like
no,
the-
we did not. It just
was
it just
weird.
happened.
Yeah.
It might have been a sign from the universe, as Kelly was trying to. So, Erica, I don't know if we told you, but we tried to do this in 2018, and for different
With
reasons.
Eric.
With Eric, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And so for
You mean
for,
Boo Boo?
Yes,
Yeah.
for Boo Boo.
Yep.
So for one reason or another, it didn't work out. But Kelly was like, we should try this again. Or let's
7
revisit
years,
this.
I
Yeah,
was
for
doing
7.
that. For 7 years. Every once in a while, he'd send me a text. Want to do it? And I'm like, Fuck yes.
Yeah,
When are
but
we
then,
doing it?
but then I stopped hearing from her, and I was like, "Oh shit, we really should do this." And so then
Uh-huh.
I started texting her, and I think she was kind of like, "Fucking, shit or get off the pot, dude. Like, are we gonna fucking do it or we're not? Like, I'm not gonna dick around with you anymore. We're gonna do it or we're not." And then I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, we're gonna do it."
Yeah.
And here we are, episode 3. So I mean,
Yes.
You're doing it.
yeah, we are,
doing it.
we are, we are doing.
We have some great stories coming up. Too.
We are. Yeah,
we
whether-
have some great stuff
But they're
coming up.
trending longer each time, so we might have to work on that. We might
Yeah.
have to
Yeah,
cut
Yeah.
my British accent. We might have to just maybe have like
Oh,
Netflix does. It's like here's the episodes and here's trailers and more. Like you
Right.
have a little
Yes.
here's a little
Yeah.
side
Yep.
piece.
No,
Because when I
just
listened to your episode 1 and 2, I did. I was in the kitchen getting stuff done. It was like
Right.
you guys were right there with me, sitting there.
oh,
with
that's
me.
that's awesome.
love that.
I was
Yeah.
Well, we will be on Spotify as well. That is our
Yes.
big thing too.
That's our plan.
this
Yeah, yeah,
weekend.
yeah,
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
yeah. And so
It's
we.
just poor David. I'm an idiot. My husband thinks when
No,
it comes
she's
to
not.
tech stuff. No, when it comes to tech stuff, I am. So thank God Stacy is really good.
Oh no,
David's good.
yeah, Stacy's amazing.
My husband's very
Yeah.
good.
And clearly,
He got
my-
our YouTube. He got our Spotify.
Clearly, my skills are questionable based on the fact that Brittany had to had to tell me how to do a fucking video preset in a software program
She's
that
like-
she's never even heard of.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
He's like, just
You know.
sweep it over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to hurt locker this motherfucker, and she just goes, "Hey, Dave, why don't you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
There's a funny years and years and years ago because I used to work at Comp. Do you remember the Comp USAs?
Yes.
Like they sold computers in the front. We did training in the back. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
it was like my first job out of college was Coca-Cola. So then I started working for Comp USA doing as a trainer in the back. So because of that, my parents would come to me a lot with the tech questions because computers were getting popular.
Yeah.
So once I said, turn it off. Let's wait 30 seconds. I waited with her. I said, now turn it back on. My mother says, this is what they pay you for.
And from this you make a living.
Yeah.
But then there was a meme I saw last week. It was it was timely since I'm updating my will. It was, if you're not sure, pull the plug and then just plug me back in.
Plug back in.
Yeah, right.
Just pull
Oh
the
my
plug
God.
see what happens when you plug me back in.
So I
want to make sure I'm really gone before you donate me to
Just try it one more time. Make
make
sure-
I have
sure
a-
I'm really gone.
an interesting story about CompUSA is that I remember buying a Palm Pilot
Oh,
from CompUSA. I want to say like 1998. I think
yeah.
but what's even and I wish I had it right now to hold up to the camera is that I have a black mouse pad that has the CompUSA logo on it. I still have that.
Excellent. I was there from 94 to 98.
Okay.
Before 90, at the end of 98. Because after my son was born, I went back, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do something else. But
Yeah.
it was fun while it lasted. We were down near Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
But I told the kid the first computer, the first real computer we had, $3,000.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like $3,000, and the laptops were almost that much. And now you can just pay a tenth of that.
It's
Right.
it's
And get a
unbelievable.
computer,
Yep.
$3,000, and that was
Yep.
employee cost. That was a
Yeah,
cost.
yeah.
Even
Oh, yeah.
And it was
retail,
probably like this
Customizing.
big.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it was
think
probably
customized
gigantic.
it. It was
Yeah.
because you had the CPU unit, but
Right.
customized and at cost.
oh yeah.
$3,000.
1998 I bought she's gonna laugh at this. I don't know if you remember Gateway Country Stores when they went to brick
Oh,
and
yeah.
mortar.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
I walk into there and I at the time I thought, I need the fastest, biggest, whatever tower I can get. I paid $3,500 for whatever their fastest, and I'm sure it was like a 486 something with,
spending
2
that right
megabyte of RAM. I mean, it's insane. I mean, this microphone has more processing power than that
Right.
fucking thing did at $3,500.
I used to teach the classes when people would come in from, this is a mouse, this is the monitor, from that level class to the software, the Adobe, the Microsoft, and intermediate to advanced stuff. Or we used to go to corporations. Like I remember going to Xerox then in Miami. I remember we stopped to watch the OJ chase. down
Oh, the
freeway.
Bronco. Yeah, right.
I was at the Xerox office at the time. And,
Holy wow.
so going to the companies and doing this thing or someone would just buy a computer and it came with, and I remember the big launch of Windows 98, and it was a big thing at midnight. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Gosh, it was so funny. Funny. So
those were the days.
Those were the days.
Oh boy. Well, thank you again, Erika. We greatly appreciate
thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
And hopefully pass on some nuggets of wisdom here or there.
That you did. That you absolutely
I wasn't
did.
expecting I expected to learn about the disease, but what I'm taking away from this is just you're living.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
I should
it's really
probably
beautiful.
wait. Well, thank you. I should probably wait to schedule any more adventures till I have a full-time job again. But you know what? Fuck it.
Fuck it. That's what I said. Fuck it.
I've already got some big adventures this year, and who knows what 2026 will have in store.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go blow all my retirement investments right now.
Right.
But it's a fine balance. It's a balance, but you can't wait. You gotta live, and that's the best. Double down on it.
Yes.
And thank you for wanting to listen. Thank you for
no, absolutely. And hopefully you'll come back on and join us for other episodes
Linda.
to do.
Come back.
Yes, I think you should.
I would love to usually join you. I would love to.
Will you stick with us while we do a little bit of shameless promotion here?
Please do.
Yes. All right. So you can email us at holytrollers@gmail.com. Yes.
There at the bottom, right there.
Like us on Facebook at Holy Trollers with Kelly and David, and YouTube at Holy Trollers, and Google Voice at 240-415-9247, where you can leave a message with our friend Ronan. He is, that is our friend. And actually, it sounds something like this.
Thanks for tuning in to Holy Trollers. Whether we hooked you with our wit or you're just trolling along for the ride, we're glad you joined us. If you're interested in being a guest, leave your name, number, and a little bait about why you'd be a great catch. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend or an enemy. We're not picky. Catch you next time.
So please call and
Scottish Ronan.
yes, and leave a message with Ronan.
I want to leave a message with Ronan.
It's the Holy Trollers OnlyFans.
Yeah, I like
It is, yes.
Ronan.
That's a separate Ronan channel, indeed. Erika, thank you again. We
Thank
greatly
you.
appreciate your time.
You're
And
welcome. Thanks for
let's
having
stay
me
in
on.
touch. Yeah, let's I'm gonna
We're all going to the beach this
now
summer.
you
What are
can't
you
get rid of
talking
me.
about?
I'm gonna be texting you, calling, what's going on? All right. So
All
with that
right.
said, we will
See you next time.
wait, what does Bill O'Reilly say in that rant where he gets
Oh, fuck it.
yeah,
Run it.
well, do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck
He's
it,
like
we'll do it live.
to play us out. To play us out. What is it? Anyway, yeah, we'll have to recreate that in another episode.
All right.
So, all right. So, Erika, we will.
We'll talk to you.
Yeah, and we'll put this up. I guess YouTube, Facebook. We'll probably do some clips. Put it on.
Oh, and anything that you might want to, like, any thing that, websites or like your
links, yeah.
advocacy links,
Yeah.
anything like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Links.
Send that, and
please
we'll
make sure to
throw
do
that in
as
the
well.
description and all of that good stuff.
Offering.
Yep.
Yep. All
Will
right.
do.
All right.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Hey, have fun at is it the coffee? What's going on tomorrow?
Crawl. The
Coffee crawl. Yes. Enjoy that.
Have
And
fun.
Kelly, whatever you're doing, like I
I'm
said,
riding a motorcycle. That's
okay,
what I'm
like
doing.
I don't have any
Nice weather.
plans. I have
Yeah, we
no
have a
plans
bike.
for
I
my
can't wait.
Saturday.
It's a
I will-
beautiful, beautiful weather
Yep.
Oh, see, I'm
Yeah.
jealous
for
now. All
crawling
right.
or biking.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be in the 60s tomorrow.
Or a day for staying in. Just
And Richard
Yeah.
Simmons on VHS. Yep.
Yes.
get that leotard on.
I will send
All right.
pictures. All right. All right. Good night, y'all.
Good night. Bye.
Kelly and David, they're on the mic. Talking about things you gotta like.